Welcome to Labor Law Lecture Series, and we were discussing about Trade Union Act 1926. This is a fourth video. In the first three videos, we discussed about historical aspects, and then we also looked into uh, a bird's eye view of the Act and discussed in detail about key definitions like trade union, trade dispute, and workman. And in this video, we are going to discuss about provisions relating to registration, withdrawal, and cancellation of trade union. Okay. Okay, we are going to discuss now about registration, cancellation, and withdrawal. Okay, registration, withdrawal, cancellation, and withdrawal of a trade union registration. This is a important aspect in the entire case, in the entire Trade Union Act, because the basic purpose of setting up this act is to give a recognition to a trade union by way of registration of a trade union. Okay, so the section 3 to 14 of the Act deals with the registration related points. Here is a list of sections which are dealing with the registration process of a trade union. Section 3 deals with appointment of registrar, Section 4 modes of registration, Section 5 application of registration, Section 6 rules of a trade union, and then Section 7 additional information required by registrar, Section 8 registration, Section 9 certificate of registration. Section 10 talks about cancellation. Section 11 discusses the appeal process, and then Section 12 describes the registered office details. Section 13 gives a detail about incorporation of a registered trade union. Finally, Section 14 lists down certain acts which are not applicable to trade union. Okay, in this video we will discuss about Section 3 to 9. Okay, and then in upcoming video we will discuss section 10 to section 14. Okay, we have split this video into two parts. In section 3 to 9 will be discussed in this video, and in the next video we will be discussing section 10 to section 14. Okay, this is appointment of a registrar, section 3. According to this section, a state government appoints registrar. Who is going to appoint registrar? It is a state government. It is a state government's responsibility to appoint a registrar. But based on the needs, a state government can appoint additional deputy registrars and additional registrars. So the one registrar is must, and based on the needs, state government can appoint any number of deputy registrars and additional registrars. But these two registrars, deputy or additional, they will be working under the guidance of registrar. The local limits of each deputy registrar, additional registrar, or a registrar will be fixed by state government only. Okay, the local limits of each of these registrars will be defined by state government. Okay, now the important point is, what is the role of a registrar? What is the role of a registrar? Okay, this was discussed in the case of Northeastern Railway Employee Union versus Additional District Judge Farrukhabad. In this case, it was clearly stated that the registrar of a trade union is the authority charged with the duty of administering the provisions of the Trade Union Act. So, the role of a registrar is empowered with administering the provisions of the Trade Union Act. Okay, the registrars are empowered to administer the provisions of the Trade Union Act, and this was discussed in the case of Northeastern Rail Employee Union versus Additional District Judge Farrukhabad. This is all about the appointment of registrar. The registrars will be appointed by state government, and state government can appoint deputy registrars and additional registered, any numbers based on the needs, and then the local limits of each of the registrars will be set by state government. The role of the registrar is to administer the provisions of the Trade Union Act, which was discussed in Northeastern Railway Employee Union versus Additional District Judge Farrukhabad's case. Moving to next section, section 4. Section 4 talks about modes of registration. Section 4 talks about modes of registration. Here the first point is 7 or more members can apply for trade union registration. Okay, 7 or more members can apply for trade union registration. Okay, after applying, right, if there are if few guys come out of the trade union, if few guys come out of the trade union, then also application is valid. If the number of members who comes out is less than 1 by 2, less than half, then it is still valid. If it is more than 1 by 2, then it is invalid. So the important point now is uh, out of 7 or number of members whoever is applied for the trade union, if 1 or 2 member comes out, there is no threat of invalidity of a trade union application, registration application. If it is number of members is more than half, then it is a invalid application. The next section is application for registration. The members of the trade union must submit application for registration in a prescribed form with the following details. The first one is name and address of the members, name and address of members, whoever the initial 7 or more than 7 members, right? The name and address of the members should be submitted, and then followed by name of the trade union and registered office detail. Name of the trade union and registered office address should be furnished in application form. And third one is name and address of office bearers. It means whenever trade union is set up, there will be a president, there will be a secretary, vice president, and then there will be a treasurer and working committee members. So all these office bearer names should be mentioned along with the addresses in the trade union application form. The other one is if the trade union is existence for the more than 1 year before registration, then they have to submit financial information, certain financial information like what are the assets they have it, what is the cash in hand, and then any loans, etc. should be clearly specified in the application for registration. Okay, 4 points. First 3 are mandatory for everyone. The fourth one is if it is in existence for more than 1 year at the time of registration, then the financial information also needs to be submitted. Okay, we will moving to the next section, which is provisions to be contained in the rules of the trade union. Along with the application details, whatever we mentioned in section 5, whatever I mentioned in section 5, the rules of the trade union also needs to be submitted for a registration of a trade union. The rules of a trade union must contain following details. This can contain more than this, but minimum information which is required in the rules of the trade union are name of the trade union, objectives of a trade union, okay, objectives of a trade union, and then purpose of a general fund, and how to utilize this general fund and utilization. The details should be mentioned here. Utilize how to utilize this particular fund, followed by list of all the members, of a trade union. Not only that, it also should contain the office bearers, the president, executive committee like president, vice president, and secretary, treasurer. All these details should be provided in the rules of the trade union. Okay, and not only after this, the subscription fees detail also should be mentioned in trade union. Subscription fees is nothing but an amount which will be collected from each of the members. The subscription fees should not be less than 0.25 paisa per month per member. Okay, per month per member, it should not be less than 25 paisa per member per month. If member fails to pay the subscription fees, if member fails to pay the subscription fees, his membership will become invalid. Okay, if any member fails to pay the subscription fees which is prescribed by a trade union, then it will become invalid. This was held in the case of MT Chandareshan versus Sukumaran. Along with the subscription, the fines which will be charged by trade union for some mistakes of an employee or a union member also should be mentioned in the rules of a trade union. And then the amendment process. If any trade union clauses needs to be amended, that also should be mentioned in amendment clauses in the rules of a trade union. And then entry of a members, how each members will be given a membership status, what is the subscription fees, whatever the process of selecting a members, etc. also should be mentioned in the rules of a trade union. Entry of new members, and then selection, sorry, it is the ninth one here, and then selection of executive committees, the presidents, vice president, secretary, treasurer, etc. Right? How they will be selected, what is the process of election also should be maintained in detail in the rules of a trade union. Then cash, safeguarding of a cash, how the fund, company's fund will be, or a trade union fund will be managed, that also should be mentioned. And then the process of dissolution of a dissolving or trade union, if necessary the trade union may get dissolved in the future date, what is the process for dissolution of a trade union. One important case with respect to the rules of a trade union is this the these rules cannot be enforced by way of a writ of mandamus. Okay, mandamus means asking government to give us some guidance, or some asking court to give direction to perform certain duty. So this writ of mandamus cannot be used against the rules. Only provision is available is if aggrieved party wants to go to a court, they can go to a court. This is discussed in the case of Triloknath Tripathi versus Allahabad Division Branch. I'll repeat here once again. I'm repeating this once again. The writ of mandamus cannot be applied for the rules of a trade union. The person cannot go to a court and ask for a writ of mandamus against trade union members or a trade union executive members. Only thing is they can go and put a case against the trade union executive committees, but not a request for writ of mandamus. Moving to next section, section number 7, which deals with power to call for an additional information. As once the entire detail of a rules and application form is submitted by trade union, if a if a registrar requires some additional information, they can ask for additional information with the members. So the registrar can ask additional information with members. The most important point in this section is registrar can ask information only with members. He should not ask someone third party. Okay. Any information is required, registrar should ask only with the members and not with any third party. This was held in the case of M. Kundala Rao versus Registrar of Trade Union. And once the registrar is happy with the information about whatever he has it, then he can proceed with issuing a registration certificate. Till that time, till he gets an information from a trade union members, he can put the application on hold. Okay. So the 2 points in section 7, one is the registrar can request for additional information. Till the required information comes to him, he can put it on a hold. And the registrar can ask for additional information only from the members, not from third party. Okay, moving to the next section, which is called about a registration, which talks about registration. This is a final step where registrar is going to review the entire document and provide the registration certificate. The important case law in this section related to registration is Keshoram Rayan versus Workman Union. Keshoram Rayan versus Workman Keshoram Ray and Workman Union versus Registrar of Trade Union, it was clearly held that if all the details furnished by the trade union is as per the Trade Union Act, and then register doesn't have any right to uh, reject the application. Okay, he has to give a registration certificate. There is no point of registration rejection from the registrar if all the information furnished by trade union is in accordance with the Trade Union Act of 1926. And the other important point about register is it is not a uh, quasi judicial authority. The registrar is not a quasi judicial authority, so it is nothing to do with the legal aspects. They have to perform and give registration certificate if the document is as per uh, uh, as per the Trade Union Act of 1926. So this is not a quasi judicial authority, and this was held in the case of ONGC Workman Union versus West Bengal case. So two important points with respect to section 8 of on registration. So once the documents are all clear as per the Trade Union Act 1926, then registrar has to give a registration certificate. He cannot put any hold on that. Okay, and the registrar is not a quasi judicial authority. It was held in the ONGC Workman Union versus West Bengal case. Certificate of registration. Once the registrar is satisfied with the documents submitted by members, he has to issue a certificate of registration to a members as per section 9 and the format prescribed in section 9. Okay, again the point of rejecting the application is not permitted to register if all the documents are as per as a Trade Union Act. This was held in the case of Indian Steam Navigation Workers Union. Okay, so point you have to remember here is registration. If documents are as per Trade Union Act 1926, then register doesn't have any rights to reject the application for trade union. Moving to a next point. Okay, that's it as of now for this particular video, and in the upcoming video we will discuss about the other sections from 10 to 14 related to trade union registration. For any questions on this, for any clarification, please put a comments in below comment box. Thank you.